Okay, so now you can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to start and do the skill here. So I'm going to knock on the door. Hi, Mrs. Smith. How are you? Good. My name is Gidget, and I'm going to be your caregiver today. Is that okay? Perfect. Well, I see by the care plan it's time to get you cleaned up. Are you ready? Great. Well, do you feel safe enough for me to go gather a few supplies and wash my hands? Perfect. Here, let me provide you some privacy, and I will be right back. Now, I have gathered 6 washcloths, a privacy towel, a drying towel, 2 pairs of gloves, and a Chex pad. And remember that our table has to have some sort of a waterproof item on it in order to put water on it. So I have a towel. You can use a Chex pad. You can use whatever it is that you like. Now, Mrs. Smith, how hot do you like your water? She likes it warm. So I've gathered warm water. Now I'm going to get my washcloth wet. And then after I get it wet, I'm going to put little dabs of soap on each corner. So I'm keeping my washcloth folded like this, and then dabs of soap on each corner. And then away from the water, because you do not want to get soap in your water, I'm going to make it all. There you go. All right, Mrs. Smith, let's get your privacy towel on you. I'm going to lower her her sheet as underneath her privacy towel to make it as dignified as possible, so I am not exposing her. All right, Mrs. Smith, are you ready? Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is take a corner and test the water. Is this a good temperature? Perfect. I'm going to go back to the soapy sides, open her up. I'm going to get one side on the inside, another side on the inside. Then I'm going to go straight down the middle. And then I'm going to close and get one fatty lip. Get this washcloth here is now in the laundry. I'm going to get a different washcloth, get it wet. With my soap, put dabs on each corner. I'm going to get it nice and soapy again. Then close, get the other outside. I'm going to get the groin area. The other groin area. Remember that I am always wiping down, never up. Then I'm going to look to see if there's anything I missed, and I have this one extra section. I'm going to go ahead and wipe that. This is now laundry. Get a fresh washcloth. And this is my drying or my rinsing washcloth now. Keep it in my 4s. Open her up. I'm going to rinse everywhere that I have washed. Never repeating more than one time. Close, get the outside. New washcloth. I'm going to get the other side, the groin area, the other groin area. And then I have this one extra side here. I'm going to look around because I can leave no soap on her anywhere. I'm going to look around and see if I see soap anywhere. Now I'm going to dry. At this point, I'm going to dry everywhere, including where I tested the water. You want to pat down. Open her up and pat on the inside. You want to make sure that you are not leaving her wet anywhere. So everywhere that got wet has to be dry. Now this can go back on your table, and we're going to cover her up. Mrs. Smith, could you scoot over to that side of the bed for me, please? And now on the count of 3, I'm going to rock her. I'm going to rock her on her hip and her shoulder. 1, 2, and 3. So now Mrs. Smith is here. Okay, Mrs. Smith, so we can see your backside here. Everybody can see her backside? Yes, all right. So I'm going to get a washcloth. Mrs. Smith, go ahead and stay up here. I'm going to put soap on the washcloth on the four corners. And away from the water, I'm going to make it all soapy. Then I'm going to open up her butt cheek and start at the bottom here and wipe up. Remember, we never bring nothing down into the person. New part of the washcloth. I'm going to get her butt cheek. New part of the washcloth, her other butt cheek. Last part of the washcloth here. I'm going to get her anus area. And now that's laundry. My rinse washcloth. Mrs. Smith, can you test this water for me one more time? Is this still a good temperature? Perfect. Now I'm going to rinse her exactly the same way that I washed. So open up her butt cheek and go straight up. New part of the washcloth. Get her butt cheek. New part of the washcloth. Her other butt cheek. New part of the washcloth. Her anus area. New part of the washcloth. And all I do is fold this over. Now I'm going to look. Is there any soap left over? If there is, I'm going to get it. I'm going to dry now. Dry everywhere, including where you tested the water. She cannot be left wet at all. All right, Mrs. Smith. Very good. You can now put this in the laundry. Cover her up a bit. And now, Mrs. Smith, I'm going to change out your checks pad. So you're going to roll the checks pad up and tuck it underneath Mrs. Smith. Smooth this so you can see. Tuck it underneath Mrs. Smith. You'll have a new checks pad. And you want to put this checks pad where you want it, because once she's lying on it, it's going to be really hard to move it. Then you roll this section up here and tuck it underneath the dirty checks pad. Make sure it's nice and smooth for her to lay on. And then you roll 1, 2, and 3. There you go, Mrs. Smith. I'm going to pull out the dirty checks pad and put it in the laundry. And then pull out the clean checks pad. At this point, I want Mrs. Smith, could you move back to the middle of the bed? Thank you so very much. So she's back into the middle of the bed. Now at this point, I'm going to change out my gloves. Remember, there could be urine or feces on these gloves. You want to have them clean gloves before you touch her blankets. So you're going to change out the gloves, do it properly. Put it in the trash and get your second set of gloves. I want to straighten out her bedding, get it all nice. Have one hand on her bedding, one on her privacy blanket, and pull up. Put the privacy blanket into the laundry. There you are, Mrs. Smith. Is there anything else I can do for you? Okay, do you feel safe while I go do some cleanup? Perfect. At this point, you're going to go and wash your basins, put everything away. Remove your towel or checks pad off the table and put it in the laundry and wash the table. Any questions? Okay, don't forget to wash your hands afterwards.